Just been looking over the Athletics off-season grades from Jim Bowden. I'm just going to run down some of the ones that I disagree with. Nothing too dramatic, but if you want to talk baseball off-season, give me a follow. So I'm starting with Diamondbacks, D plus. Merrill Kelly's the only meaningful signing they've made. I get that. Bowden cites that in his article. They did trade for Arenado for very little expense. It's been a quiet winter for them, but I don't know what much more they could do. They've got money committed to Corbin Burns, who's hurt. It was never going to be anything dramatic this offseason. I quite like the Mike Soroka signing. That's my kind of deal. He had pretty good underlying numbers for points last season. I would probably add them around a C. And then moving up a level, we are going to the Phillies at C+. Kyle Schwarber deal, they had to do it. JT Realmuto deal, probably the worst in isolation of the entire offseason. So I don't know how you can have a C+ and make the worst deal when they've also lost Ranger Suarez. They signed Adolis Garcia. That's fun. But I feel like this team's got markedly worse this offseason. They swung and missed on Bichette. They didn't sign Bregman as an alternative if they needed someone at third base. I didn't like their offseason at all. I would have had them on the bottom row here at the very least, maybe towards the bottom right corner, down where my head is on this at the moment. And back up to the middle row. Here we are. It is San Francisco Giants, just here, B. I think this is pretty generous. I think this is kind of just rewarding seeing a lot of movement, in my opinion. The Giants are a team that should be in full win now mode. Adames, Chapman, Devers tied up long term. One of the most reliable starters in baseball and Logan Webb. It should be all about getting players who can help them win the title in 2026. Sure, they're not going to win 100 games, finish ahead of the Dodgers or anything, but I don't think they've done that. They've made what feel kind of not quite bargain bin signings, but close to it. Bader, Arias, the ones recently maybe have clouded the judgment a bit here. I don't know. I think they've had a pretty disappointing offseason. I would have had them at C, probably at highest. I think they should have been players either in the trade market for an arm like Freddie Peralta, or they should have been more aggressive in free agency for Tatsuya Mai and people like that. So ultimately, I would have had the Giants considerably lower. Probably the biggest misjudgment I've seen. And then we're up to the Boston Red Sox, B+. I don't have a massive gripe with this one. I think I would have just gone A-, possibly A. I think Ranger Suarez and Sonny Gray are two really good pickups to back up Garrett Crochet in that rotation. I think that neither of them are like massive game changing. It's not like trading for Crochet, for instance. But I think they're two signings that really elevate this Red Sox team and their ceiling. Sure, they lost Bregman. That does hurt. By even moving on from Hicks and the way they've done that, I know it cost them a prospect, but I quite like when teams are proactive in realising their own mistakes and just cracking on with it and being like, right, we better fix that and move on to the next phase of this team. So I think B+, it's not the worst shout. I'd probably go A-. I think they've had a decent winter. My last team is the Pittsburgh Pirates, who are just here. A-, I just think is very generous. I think that comes from a franchise that has set the bar so low for off-season moves that just signing players and making moves gets recognition. This team might still be last in a weak NL Central, possibly. Brandon Lowe and Ryan O'Hearn are two players, for instance, I really like. I rate both of them highly. I just don't know how that makes you an A-. I just think that's way too generous. I don't know, a B is kind of serviceable. It's what teams should be doing. That sort of thing when they've got a young, cost-controlled rotation. So, there we go. That is my quick fire review of the grades given out by The Athletic for these off-seasons. Let me know what you think. Let me know which grades you disagree with and who your winners and losers have been of this off-season.